Hey guys, so this is the recording for the bacteria notes. You should be hopefully taking these on Tuesday. And I want to apologize because Nova's playing with a squeaky toy right now. So if you hear squeaking, blame Nova. It's not me, but she's looking out the window right now. So hopefully we're going to have a nice quiet recording, but just in case. So let's jump into this. So we are in domain bacteria and kingdom bacteria. They got lazy with their names, so both the domain and the kingdom are called bacteria. So let's jump in. A microbe, or microscopic organism, is a living thing that is too small to be seen with the naked eye. So we talked about these things way back at the beginning of the school year with Francesco Redi, Louis Pasteur, Hooke, and Leeuwenhoek. We talked about the microscope. It allowed us to see small objects. So microbe is just a generic term for anything that's too small to be seen. So we do need a microscope to see these items. You can see in this picture all kinds of different shapes and sizes. You got some that look like beads on a string, some that look like eyeballs connected together. These guys are hairy. So these guys cause you to get sick. It's no good. The term is very general. It is used to describe many different types of life forms with dramatically different sizes and characteristics. So just like you saw in this picture back here, there's all different sizes and shapes of bacteria, and that's what causes you to get different kinds of sicknesses. You might get a cold, you might get some type of infection. Most likely, I can pretty much guarantee you're not having the same bacteria inside of your body. You're getting all kinds of different sicknesses. But microbe, the word microbe can include bacteria, archaea, fungi. There's a type of fungus that's microscopic. We're going to look at that. Protists, those guys eat your brains. Viruses, they give you the flu, and microscopic animals like this animal right here. This is a water bear. He's actually pretty cool. He can survive almost anything. So I think the water bear is pretty cool. The human body is home to microbes from all of these categories. So your body actually has more bacteria cells inside and on it than you do human cells. So if you could see bacteria, which we cannot, thank goodness, you're actually only 10% human. 90% of your body has bacteria in it and on it all over the place. So you are 90% bacteria. I think that's super cool, but also totally disgusting all at the same time. So microscopic plants are also considered microbes, though they generally don't live on the human body. So there are microscopic algae and things like that that live in lakes and ponds and streams, but they don't typically live in your body. Uh-oh, Nova's squeaking. Hopefully you don't hear it too much. Hey, don't shove that under the couch. My kids are going to laugh at me. I'm talking to my dog. So here's some bacteria pictures. You can see over here on the left-hand side, that's what we would be able to see if we had a fancy microscope. This microscope that on the left would probably cost you a couple $1,000s. And you see how blurry it is and it's not really a good picture? These guys over here on the right-hand side, this microscope is as big as our classroom. It's ginormous. And I would have to estimate that it costs millions of dollars. I mean, those things, look how clear that picture is. You can see every bump and groove in that bacteria, and those puppies are tiny. Here's some viruses. So this is the characteristic virus. You can see it kind of looks like an alien robot thing. It has this like bulb on the top up here, and then it has this neck, and then it typically has 4 or 6 legs coming out of it. So this guy is all sorts of nasty, and he gives you the flu. So you really don't want this guy crawling around. That's no good. So we're going to fill in this chart. It's going to compare bacteria and viruses. So it should just fill in nice and easy. So the number of cells that a bacteria has, it's unicellular. So it's one single cell. A virus, though, has no cells. So if you're kind of keeping up with things, you're going to notice that causes some red flags to go off in your head. Okay, a virus is actually considered to be non-living, and you can see that down here in this next row. Viruses are, according to scientists, not living because they don't have any cells. Bacteria are living. They have cells. They do the things that cells need to do. But viruses are non-living. So that's what makes them a little bit weird, is that they can attack us and make us sick, but we're actually being attacked by something that's never once lived. So I think that's cool. So you can see here, this big blob here, around the outside, all of this, that's a human cell. This is an animal cell, the big brown blob. Okay. Then you can see a bacteria. Notice it's prokaryotic, there's no nucleus. Here's your bacteria. You see how much smaller that is than the little brown blob? So bacteria are super tiny. Now look how small a virus is. A virus is microscopic compared to this guy. So we cannot see bacteria with our microscopes, and we would never ever be able to see a virus with our microscopes because they are just far too small. So infection-wise, so that's probably something that is relevant to you guys. You've probably had infections. A bacterial infection is going to stay localized. It's going to stay in one place. So let's say you cut your finger and you accidentally get it infected because you don't wash it. Well, that bacteria, it's going to stay in your finger. Only your finger is going to get red and puffy and kind of hurty. Whereas a virus, that puppy attacks your whole entire body. That's why when you get the flu, you feel like poo-poo. Your legs cramp up and they hurt, and your head hurts, and you kind of feel maybe nauseous. Maybe you're going to the bathroom a little bit too much because that virus is in your bloodstream. It's in every part of your body. It's hurting all over the place. Reproduction. So we talked about these terms way back at the beginning of the year. Make sure you refresh your memory if you need to. Bacteria are asexual. That means there's only one parent because that prefix a, remember, means not. So it's not sexual. Specifically, it's called binary fission. Remember that prefix bi means two. Okay, so they're going to split into two. I'll show you a picture on the next slide. Viruses, this is another key point that they're not living. They invade a host cell. So we're going to see a picture of it. So I'm just kind of going to save my description for the next slide. So here's bacteria. You can see that we're starting off with one cell, and what it's doing is actually ripping itself into two. That's how it makes a baby. So I think I talked about this way back at the beginning of the year. Imagine ripping off your arm, throwing it on the ground, and bada bing, you got a brand new Miss Riddle. That's a little scary for humans, but for bacteria, it totally works because notice that these guys don't have much of anything. They have a cell membrane and they have a DNA coil, and that's it. They don't have the parts to make a baby, so they have to do it all by themselves. Viruses, though, I think they're even cooler than bacteria. So I like to describe this like an astronaut landing on the moon, okay? So here's your virus. It lands on the moon. It's a spaceship. Lands right on the moon. Here's where it gets weird. The virus leaves a big old poop on the moon. It just poops it right on out. What it's pooping out is its DNA, okay? It actually has a little bit of DNA stored up here in the head. Well, it's going to go straight through into the butt. That bacteria, or that virus DNA is actually going to be replicated. The cell is going to do DNA replication. It doesn't know any better, so it's going to make more and more and more and more DNA. Then the host cell is going to start turning that DNA into a virus. The viruses are going to be assembled. They're going to be put together inside that cell. And here's where things get weird. The moon actually explodes and it shoots out more spaceships into your body. This is why your whole body hurts, because you have a spaceship pooping and then exploding your cells. That's why your body hurts so much, okay? So it's nice and easy. Lands, poops, makes more stuff, explodes. And that happens again and again and again inside your body. That's why it takes sometimes so long to get over the flu. Treatments. Bacteria, we can use antibiotics. Use that B to help you. Bacteria, we can use biotics. But with a virus, we can't really do a whole lot of anything. We can give you support. If your head hurts, we can give you some medicine. If you're going to the bathroom a little bit too much, we can give you some medicine to help cure that up. Maybe some nice wipes so it doesn't hurt so much. If you're sore and achy, we can use ice or heat packs. But we can't really do much to treat it. You kind of just have to let it run its course. So here's some pictures. I think this is pretty nifty. You can see this girl's sick here. Antibiotics, you can get in a pill, you can get injected. I wouldn't suggest that one. This here is a field of bacteria. All this gray matter right here, this brown goo, that's all bacteria. And here are antibiotics, just like soap and hand sanitizer. And you might have heard of penicillin. And you can see that it's killing all the bacteria around it. So I think this picture is pretty cool. Some examples. Bacteria would be strep throat. Okay, that's a really good example. If you get strep throat a lot, hopefully you don't. You have a bacterial infection in your mouth, and that's no good. But luckily we have medicine for that. You take your meds, clears you out, and you're good to go. An example of a virus would be HIV, which turns into AIDS. I don't know if you've heard much about that one. It's called the human immunodeficiency virus. So right there is its name. And then hepatitis. A lot of older people seem to have hepatitis, or people that are frequent drug users. So most of the time you're going to be fine and not get hepatitis. Benefits. So bacteria actually are sometimes really good for you. So you have a lot of bacteria in your gut, down in your intestines. Those are totally good. The reason your food comes out looking like poop is because of bacteria. It's what turns it brown, and bacteria are what makes you fart. Okay, when you swallow air, most of the time it comes back up as a burp. But you fart, on average, I think it's like 15 times a day, something like that. Some of you fart more. The bacteria are actually creating the gas, so you're actually farting out bacteria farts. And then the viruses, they don't really do much good. The only reason they would be good, I don't know if you remember back when we talked about genetics, genetic engineering. We can take viruses, take out the bad stuff, put in some good stuff, and purposefully infect a person with the good virus, and that's going to change their DNA from the inside. So that's a new advancement in genetics, so we don't know a whole lot about it. I think it's pretty cool though. By the time you guys are older, it's probably going to be used all the time, but for right now it's kind of experimental stuff. So a little bit more to see if I can squeeze these in before my timer runs out. So we are in domain bacteria, okay, just to refresh your memory. There are 3 shapes that you need to know. Coccus, which is round, and I know, get your giggles out there. Bacillus, that's rod-shaped. And spirilla, or spiral, it's twisted. Okay, so streptococcus is what is strep throat. That's this circle shape right here. So when you have strep throat, you have circle bacteria in your throat. Bacillus, that's kind of a long-shaped one, and the spiral guys, those are real creepy looking. Some bacteria are mobile, which means they can move. And when they do this, they use a flagella. It's a long whip-like structure or a tail. So you can see here, this guy, he's got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 flagella. So he's really fast. He probably can move a little bit quicker than other guys. Some bacteria have cilia, or hair-like structures that surround a cell. So these hairy things, they actually act just like Velcro. So that's what causes them to be able to stick in the back of your throat. You think, if I had bacteria there, well, I'll just cough them out or I'll swallow them and then they'll burn in the stomach acid. Well, not with this stuff right here. If that bacteria has cilia, it's actually acting like Velcro and it's sticking to your throat.